tell me true for today's video with a full runaway ability Pokemon team. So this ability is completely useless in battle. So I thought this could be an interesting video to have a look at what Pokemon actually get runaway and how would I buff the runaway ability, and also how would you buff it? The first battle we got today, this one is against FBI Giovanni. What the heck is his name? This was a fire battle. What would you do to buff runaway ability? Let me know in the comment section of the video. I'd love to hear your thoughts and stuff all about it. So how would you buff the ability runaway? Obviously, it's got a lot of in-game effects like that, which I, put at the start of the video. But in this actual, like a battle and stuff, it has no use whatsoever. I'll tell you my thoughts on what I do with Runaway as we get into this video. So, our first Pokemon here is going to be Dialga Origin. Now, that hit really hard with Draco Meteor. So, Pachirisu is only just going to be able to live that. Now, they also have a Palkia Origin as well. Now, this Pachirisu set, let's have a look at this one. So, we've got Super Fang, Nuzzle, Sweet Kiss, and Charge Beam. Leftovers as the item, Max Health and Max Defense, and Calm Nature. Last 4 EVs in Special Defense. So, it's an all-round bulky set. I've also got Terra Normal on there too. That was just to get around, any super effective ground moves and only have one weakness. Now, this was pretty funny. So I had the Palkia Origin, Parakan, basically paralyzed for Nuzzle and Sweet Kiss, so Parafusion. I was also hitting with Super Fangs and stuff, which is going pretty well too. Now, actually, quite a few Pokemon do get Runaway ability. If you do want to check it up, I tried to pick ones that were all different that actually got it. So, how I would buff Runaway ability. This is my thoughts here, right? I would buff Runaway ability in battle. Say if there was a Pokemon that had like Arena Trap or Shadow Tag, that would allow you to run away from that, as in you could still swap right. You'd be also immune to trapping moves, because you really got to buff this ability. There's nothing there for it, so it needs a big buff. So something like Mean Look, Fire Spin, those sort of things won't work on it, right? It needs to be unique and it needs to be pretty good, because even then it's still not the greatest one. But it stops you from getting trapped and stuff like that. I think it's interesting. Also, it could prevent Magnet Pull if the Steel type did, have the ability. Anyway, that's going to be the Pachirisu. Now we've got Gimmighoul roaming form, which you've probably never ever seen in a battle in your life. You can get this from Pokemon Go too, if you are curious. So Gimmighoul roaming form's only ability is Runaway. So that has nothing but Runaway, and it also clips into the floor too during the battle. So amazing stuff there. So this is a Nasty Plot sweeping set. I thought this would be a pretty good time to send it in, because Palkia had been getting paralyzed and hitting herself with Confusion a fair bit. So this is Max Special Attack and Max Speed and Timber Nature, Salic Berry as the item, and Terra type Fighting, because it simply just didn't learn enough good moves. So I was like, Shadow Ball and a fighting move, that'll do me, and Nasty Plot and sub. So Palkia is actually hitting herself in Confusion here. I've got 2 Nasty Plots up at the moment, which is really good. I'm going to conserve what I've got there. I don't want to show them too many moves, so I just went for the Terra Blast and took out the Palkia there. So not a bad start to the battle at all. Now we've got Dialga coming in here. So Dialga is going to get a Rude Awakening, because I do have Terra Fighting, and this is going to be super effective. And there's no way they're going to, ever predict me doing this right. So this, out of all the Pokemon, probably has the tiniest Terra. Look how small that little fist is. It's tiny. It's like an ant's fist. Anyway, we got that Terra Blast Fighting here. We got that fat Timber Nature outspinning Dialga and completely destroying it. So we have got a Gimmighoul roaming sweep at the moment. I've never ever done one of those before. Next Pokemon is going to be Giratina Origin. So they've seen me use Terra Blast and Terra Blast Fighting, but I also have Shadow Ball as well. Shadow Ball at +4 does not play any games. That is going to be the end of Giratina as well. So half of their team has been swept by a little Gimmighoul. Next Pokemon we got is going to be Koraidon. Now, Koraidon will be able to outspeed me, of course. It won't be doing any damage to me, but I've got like virtually one turn to take it out. Now, I did think about going for sub here and supping down, but I wasn't sure if there was any other priority moves left, and I thought maybe I should just get some damage here on Koraidon and do that. I am at +4, so it's going to be a pretty powerful attack. So Koraidon's going to use Collision Course on the Gimmighoul because I'm no longer a Ghost type. I'm a Fighting type Pokemon. And I thought I might as well just go for a ride. So we're going to go for that Terra Blast Fighting there. I'm going to show them which is the most powerful fighting move. And that does heaps of damage, but it just misses the kill. So I don't know whether that one was a minimum damage at all or a maximum damage, but I was this close to getting a Gimmighoul sweep. It would have been awesome. Basically, even if I went, say I kept going sub-shoot and went sub-down, I still wouldn't have fainted Koraidon there. But a valiant effort by Gimmighoul roaming. That's the most you'll ever see squeezed out of one of them, unless I try and do another sweep. So it clips into the floor and faints. So we've got 4 more Pokemon left. Next Pokemon is Apom. So this is a PIMPNITE special Apom here. We've got a Focus Sash set. We also got Fake Out too. Fake Out was useful, just chip damage and flinching and things like that. This was just purely here for all the people that brought like Zacian and stuff. Really powerful Pokemon that would just annihilate my team. So out comes Iron Hands, called my Beast. Okay. We're about to take the Beast out. So I was like, I'll go counter here. And, but before I do that, just in case they got Fake Out, I'm going to swap. So the next Pokemon's going to be Furret. Now, instead of using Fake Out, it just straight up use Close Combat. So rest in peace for Furret, all right? Rest in pieces for Furret there. Poor thing got absolutely annihilated. That was also a critical hit too. More on that Furret set in the next couple of battles. I got 4 battles with this team today. They were quite long battles for some reason. Next Pokemon is Apom, so I'm like, all right, I've got counter, let's do that. We got Fake Out, Endeavor, Counter, and Taunt with a Focus Sash. I know it's a very gimmicky set, but it actually worked very, very... It was like my anti-sweat set, against any real powerful Pokemon that were, obvious powerful Pokemon like, Zacian, Eternatus, stuff like that. So here comes the Close Combat, which is good. Now I just went for counter here because I know that'll definitely take it out. It does have a lot of health like back, but we got that counter off, and that's gonna take out the Iron Hand. So really good stuff there. So when you look at it, truly, Gimmighoul and Apom have taken out 5 Pokemon. So in comes Raging Bolt. Now, Raging Bolt is going to have Thunderclap. It's going to clap my cheeks, So that is the end of Apom there. So I've got 2 more Pokemon left. Things are going really, really well, but it's not looking too hot. So we're going to bring in Dodrio. So Dodrio also has Runaway. So I went for a Drill Run here. Interesting enough, they didn't go for that. They went for Rising Voltage instead. I mean, it was the same thing. Dodrio got absolutely annihilated. Not much I could have done there. My last Pokemon I've got here is going to be Dunsparce. So this is a bulky Assault Vest set, but this time I made it a physical one. So we've got Hyper Drill, Gyro Ball, Zen Headbutt, and Dual Wing Beat. Max Health and Max Attack, Brave Nature. Hyper Drill does a lot of damage. Here comes Dragon Hammer. That almost did around as much as Rising Voltage because, I was so special defensive, and a couple of those Hyper Drills were enough to take out the Raging Bolt there. Even if it did use Thunderclap on Dodrio, I had that one in the bag. GG's Giovanni, looks like I won the gym badge, bro. I got the final gym badge. Let's get on to battle number 2. Now, this person thought they were playing for VGC Worlds, MLG Gaming 2025. So that was so sweaty against this team. But it was really funny because the battle was insanely close, right? They were thinking like for almost a full minute on every single move. All right, we got an Urshifu lead there. Never seen one of them before. In comes Espeon, and its espionage mission is over. So that's a nice lead for me there. Next Pokemon, of course, is Urshifu. So I've got Brave Bird here. I'm going to get that Brave Bird off. I was like, that's gone, but I had a Focus Sash, so I managed to live there. Now, Dodrio, this is a fully physical set. We got Brave Bird, Drill Run, Double Edge, and Knockoff. Pretty good moves on there, and I've got Citrus Berry, Stellar Terra type too. Some of these sets I had to run a little bit better because I'm working with Runaway as the ability. So I'm virtually working with no ability. That was the challenge here. Urshifu is going to use Surging Strikes. Obviously, it's going to take out Dodrio's entire family tree, right? So not a bad effort. Dodrio took out nearly 2 Pokemon on its own. So I'm going to go into A-Pom. I'd love to get a fake out KO here, but it is a fairly obvious sort of swap there. I was hoping they'll get overconfident and just attack me, but they swapped. The next Pokemon on the team, of course, is going to be Calyrex Shadow Rider. So a huge, ginormous counter here. I cannot do anything at all to them. So I was thinking here, what could I possibly swap into? I was like, well, I've got a lot of normal types. How about that? But then they swapped. It's like, oh, okay, so they're just going to keep that in the back, right? So we've got Kyogre coming in here. Like I said, it was a very, very powerful team, right? I had to try and use all of my skills in this battle and squeeze out every little bit I could from this team. So I thought the Patricia wouldn't be a bad swap in here. It is quite bulky. So we got Nuzzle and Super Fang. They're going to swap out, obviously not wanting to get hit by a electric move at all. And we have got the Meowscarada coming in, which is great because I'm going to destroy its speed straight away with Nuzzle. Now, I will say something here. It wasn't in this battle, but a lot of battles that I had with Pachirisu, so many people just straight up use Volt Switch and stuff against it. They didn't even consider that it had Volt Absorb. They were just lucky, right? So they were lucky I'd run away. It happened in so many battles. Unfortunately, it wasn't like many of the battles that I'm going to show in this video, but it happened, right? So Meowscarada's going to go for a trick. And I was like, yeah, you're going to have Choice Band or Choice Scarf, aren't you? And try and shut down my Pachirisu, well, effectively shutting it down. So I got a Choice Band there, and they got a Serving and a Leftover. So this is not good. Things are not looking good so far. They've got a very, very powerful team. They don't really have to do a lot to win here. And I've got to make virtually every correct prediction of I'm going to get destroyed, right? In like the next minute or two. So in comes Sylveon. I decided to go for Super Fang again, staying and go for Super Fang. I thought that was worthwhile, and it was. I got rid of half of Sylveon's health. At this stage, I thought, well, I know that I can live a Hyper Voice or whatever, and I went for Super Fang again. So I outsped Sylveon, and it's going to go for its little Hyper Voice. I didn't think it'd try and go for Calm Mind either, you know. So at this stage, I was thinking, this is kind of a liability now, this Pachirisu. And I was thinking any moment they're just going to swap into Calyrex, right? And they did. So that's a bit of a shame. At this stage, I wanted to deny them getting a boost here, a grim boost here. It'd be very grim for me. So I did a swap, and I figured you're going to have to go for something like a Psychic move or a Grass move or a Fairy move, and then with a Psy-Shock. So like, that would have been better against, for Psychic instead of Psy-Shock, but it was still okay. So this had Gyro Ball. Now, they took almost a minute to make that decision there. They just swapped it. I mean, every turn they almost took a minute on. They thought they were competing, you know. They seen that roaming Gimmighoul and was like, that's it, it's time. Sylveon's going to get laid out like a lounger and rug by Gyro Ball. Completely awesome. So that's down. So good start. But I've only got rid of probably the 2 lesser threatening Pokemon. So, you know, the true battle really only sort of began here. So, like, what am I going to do here? I've got a Hyper Drill. I think that I can live one attack here badly. And they use Surf. I was like, okay. Interesting, Surf. So not even Origin Pulse, Surf. So I went for Hyper Drill. I think this is like a VGC team because I think they had all titles as well. Which makes sense. Anyway, so a couple of other Surfs, and that's the end of Dunsparce. I mean, I couldn't do much there. Pretty much my counter for Calyrex had gone. Well, let's say my swapping. So I thought I'd try something here. So I had Furret. This is the last resort tidy upset. I thought I'd give it a go in case I fainted. Well, at least it stalled out 1 turn of rain. This is quite a hard set to do because it did have a lot of counters, i.e. Ghost type and Steel type. So, they went for a Thunder Wave on my Furret. And that is going to paralyze me. So like, all right, that's interesting. They're going to get Surf off, and that's going to take out the Furret. But I guess the only positive thing that came out of that is I wasted a couple of turns of the rain. So swapping back into Pachirisu now, I've got the Choice Band. I want to get the Nuzzle going. I was like, let's go for Nuzzle. I may as well do that. Then I outsped them. I'm like, all right, that's a bulky Kyogre set. Absolutely has to be. That's running bulk for sure. So I got the Paralyze, and Kyogre has got a Rocky Helmet. So I knew it. Just that I outsped, I knew something was fishy. I smelled a rat. So Patris is down. Things are looking desperate now. It's like, can I take another Pokemon out, or is that it? How much more can I squeeze out of this team? And I knew the answer lied in front of me. Gimmighoul roaming form, right? the most broken Pokemon. So what we're going to do, we're going to go for a sub to get a dub, right? And a Paralyze on Kyogre. This is good. So I thought to myself, well, I have to get I need as many Nasty Plots as humanly possible here. I mean, look at the Pokemon I'm going to deal with. So I've got that Nasty Plot up. I haven't used my Terra yet. Then they got Paralyzed again. So I thought, I have to go for Nasty Plot again to get some damage, or do I go for Shadow Ball? I was really thinking about this for a bit. Like, it's probably going to be better for going for another Nasty Plot, but then I was like, wait, I might need my substitute, right? So Meowscarada is going to come in. I decide just to straight up attack here. It is going to resist your Shadow Ball. However, it is paralyzed. So Shadow Ball does tons. I was really happy with that. So I thought, all right, special defense drop, great. But I was like, leftovers. Now, if that last attack was a high roll, there's a very, very slight chance it might just live. And I couldn't take that chance. I couldn't take that chancey because I needed my substitute up, because you've got Urshifu, you've got Calyrex Shadow Rider, these Pokemon are really, really fast, and they're better than every single one of my Pokemon on my team combined, right? So I'm going to go for the Terra Fighting here. Now, I have to say, Terra Fighting Gimmighoul roaming, it wasn't the Pokemon I'd like to Terra most of this team. Really, I'll be honest. Most of the time it was either, Dunsparce or Dodrio, right? So they decided to go for a Sucker Punch there, which is good. I actually almost went for a Nasty Plot, but I changed my mind at the last moment. And we're going to go for the Terra Blast Fighting. Meowscarada is going to get one-shotted by that. If it had full health, it would have anyway. So things are starting to look up. We've got 3 Pokemon down. We've got 3 left. Kyogre's on its last legs. Urshifu's on 1 health. In comes the Kyogre now. So I thought, all right, this is my chance to get another Nasty Plot up. Or do I just go for Terra Blast here? It is going to do a fair amount of damage. What should I do? Or should I try and sub down into my Berry, But I decided to go for another Nasty Plot. I was like, let's get some damage here. Let's see what I can do, because I don't know what Terra they're going to run. And if, I'd like some more special attack. Then I got it. I was like, okay, this is cool. This is cool. I thought worst case scenario, I could just go for substitute, if Kyogre did attack me. So I got the Terra Blast Fighting off here on the Kyogre, and that is going to be enough to take it out, which is awesome. So all that's left now is a Urshifu on 1 HP, and obviously Calyrex Shadow Rider. Now, Calyrex Shadow Rider could not come in. He was going to lose. Urshifu was their last Pokemon that could do anything. Sadly, they outsped me, and they got their little Surging Strike sweat off there. So I was very, very, very close to reverse sweeping them there, Gimmighoul. Probably the only thing I could have done there differently, looking back, is I could have gone for substitute against that Kyogre and tried to sub down. But what I was worried about is if it didn't break my sub and got paralyzed, and then it swapped, and then I went for substitute again, I would have wasted my turn, and then Urshifu would have come in for Surging Strikes and fainted me anyway. That was my big thing, because then me continually using substitute would have given away that I had an item, So I brought an Apom. They know that I've got Fake Out. I know that I've got Fake Out. I can't do anything to Shadowed Rider at all, but I thought, I feel like you're going to go for a Terra that's not Ghost. So I went for Endeavor. I felt like that was the right play to go for. Now, Calyrex is going to be Timmy Terra Steel, so that's perfect. So, essentially, I got this team down to 1 HP on their last 2 Pokemon. I pushed them that far with this team. Man, that was a really impressive. Like, you got to admit, that was a really impressive battle. I squeezed everything out of my team there. I think I made every single play was really good, and I sacked the Pokemon that I had to, like Furret and stuff was more expendable. Probably the only play I could have changed would be substituting against that Kyogre, but then again, there was the issue of me going for sub and then they get paralyzed, and I go for sub and they get paralyzed, and then, the moment I go for sub, they'll swap. So that's why I didn't want to do that for. Anyway, a really a great battle there. Just getting a narrow win there with a very competent competitive team there. Very impressed. I was really impressed by how much I got it. Like, Gimmighoul roaming was fire, and that Pachirisu combination with the Nuzzle really helped too. All right, if you enjoyed today's video, if you want to support the channel, hit that like button. Tell me what you think you would do to buff the runaway ability, and let me know if you've got any other ideas. I'd like to hear them too. Maybe something different to what I say, or similar to it. Like, tell me all about it. All right, next battle here. This one's against, I think it's Ramus. We got another Kyogre lead. So, interesting enough here, this Kyogre is going to go for Ice Beam. Now, I have no clue in this wide world how I live that Ice Beam, and I'm not joking, right? So, is this another support Kyogre? I'll just tell you what my APOM's IVs are, by the way. So it's max health. Sorry, it's max attack and max speed, 0 IVs in defense and special defense, and hasty nature. So I have no clue here that Ice Beam didn't take me down to 1 health. So I know Lucario is going to use extreme speed. That was really obvious. I had Terra Ghost. It was a waste, right? What was I going to do to it? The only thing I could have actually changed on this set, it was a fun gimmicky set on that APOM. I could have given it more like presence about it rather than like gimmicky moves like Counter and Endeavor, but I felt like if I didn't have that on the team, all the real hyper press A to win Pokemon would just steamroll my team, right? Anyway, we've got Gimmighoul. It's back again, and it's using Shadow Ball. So we're getting a couple of Shadow Balls off on the Mew there. Absolutely dropping. I love how it's clipped into the floor too. It's my favorite. Guys, it's actually a part ground type. Out comes Raichu the Humble. I'm not going to write you a love song today. Maybe tomorrow, guys. Maybe tomorrow. All right. Also, I'm narrating this video a day in advance too. So just trying to think what day this will probably go out on a Wednesday, this video. I'm trying to get a few videos out in advance for you all. All right, so I bought in Pachirisu. They got a physical set with Play Rough. That surprised me. I've used a physical Raichu a lot of points. Straight trash. Now, obviously, they're scared of using any electric moves against me. I don't blame them because, this obviously typically has, like, Volt Absorb, right? So apparently they don't have a psychic move. Maybe they've got some other support style moves. So they went back into Kyogre. I was like, all right. I guess you weren't expecting an electric move, right? So I just went for Sweet Kiss. So I'm going to give Kyogre a kiss. See, its teeth came out there and tried to give me a kiss too. Now, this Kyogre, if I can get a Nuzzle on it, I can get Parafusion, and then I can go for Super Fang, Pachirisu's got some good support. I mean, it's basically a support capability Pokemon, and it's got a reasonable special defensive stat as well, which does definitely does help it out. Like I think it's like it's not 100, it's like 90. So Kyogre is going to get paralyzed here. So we've got Parafusion going with the Pachirisu, which is pretty good. I think I ran this Pachirisu set. I'll be honest, I ran this Pachirisu set back in like off-gen, except Charge Beam. I'm trying to remember. I think I went between Charge Beam. I think I don't know whether this had Parabolic Charge at all. I can't remember because so many Pokemon lost those hyper-specific moves. I can't remember. Anyway, I might have had U-turn on there or something. Anyway, Pachirisu has, my point in fact, Pachirisu has not changed over the generations. It is what it is. It's always been the same sort of Pokemon. So I'm getting some pretty good results here against this Kyogre somehow. I actually managed to live the Water Spout, which is pretty cool. Now Kyogre's Water Spout is going to do Donkey. So I'm going for Charge Beam here. I'm trying to boost up my special attack, and it's just not happening at all. So Kyogre's going to hit me with a 1 HP Water Spout. It's going to do tons and tons of damage. So, leftovers is like, for example, like healing all of the the damage it did to me. So at this stage, I was like, I'm just going to go Charge Beam. Let's get a boost here. I think that was 3 charge. Okay, so that was my 3rd Charge Beam, and at last I got a boost there. It's kind of unlucky because it is 70%. Excuse me, I need a drink. Next Pokemon is called PIMPNITE? What is that, man? I have no idea. I know Puma's a brand. Puma's a brand. Maybe that's a type of shoe, Puma toe or something. I don't know. I have no idea. It could be a meme or something like. Isn't it some sort of meme? I don't know. I have no idea. Anyway, so we actually both have a Dun Sparse. So Dun Sparse is going to be pretty bulky, so was this. So I thought I'll try and go into Gimmighoul for a normal time move, but they went for a coil and rollout set, which is pretty cool. This person was kind of hard to read because they had some like really random moves and that sort of thing. So I have no idea at all. Okay, so apparently Puma toe is a shoe. I thought. What, is it like Slazenger? It's like a brand called Slazenger. I think they're fairly similar. Anyway, I've got Terra Blast fighting here, and that is gonna. Well, we're gonna take the Puma toe out. You know when you get a new pair of shoes and someone comes and steps on your toes on purpose. All right. Next Pokemon is Primarina. Well, I mean, I've got Shadow Ball, and that's virtually about it. That's all. That's really all I can do here. And we got Terra Water Primarina. Okay. So Terra Water is an interesting choice. I was like, I'd say they're using a fairy move like Moon Blast or something. You never know, right? So here comes the Moon Blast. So I don't know what made them go for Terra Water there. Maybe they thought roaming could make it rain, but he can't make it rain at all. That's the end of that. So we got Patricia coming in. I was like, well, I've got Charge Beam. I've got Nuzzle. That'll be okay. What's the worst they can do? Swap back into Raichu or something like that? Lucario doesn't have too much, so that's going to be beneficial anyway. So back comes Raichu the Humble. Also, spoiler alert too, we had some new Mega Drop. What did you all think of the Raichu X and Y Megas? What did you think about them? Let me know in the comment section. I'd like to know your thoughts. Did you like them? I mean, the one good thing about it, I'll say, is at least Raichu got some spotlight instead of Pikachu, so I guess that is interesting. Means I also got to, in the future, I also got to redo that Pikachu team again that I've done like twice. Like all the Pikachu family and stuff. I was like, the last time I did it, I was like, this is definitely the last time I'm doing this video. And then out comes 2 more Megas. All right, so it does have Thunderbolt, which I thought it did. We finally got Last Resort off here with the Furret, and Raichu is going to get completely bodied. Now, the only problem here is we've got Lucario. So it's funny because I was going to go Terra Ghost on this. Terra Ghost, just for getting the Tidy Up. And then I was going to have Terra Blast Ghost and Last Resort and Tidy Up. So many times I've needed that Terra Ghost. So I think I'm going to adjust that set there and see. I am going to redo a Furret sweep in the future too, because it has been a long time. So bringing in the Dodrio and taking out the Lucario. Last Pokemon is going to be Primarina. And Primarina has just a little bit of damage there, but Dodrio's got some good attack. This was max attack and max speed too. And Dodrio, I was running Jolly on there with a Citrus Berry too. With Stella, that was pretty powerful on the Dodrio. That is the end of the 3rd battle here. That was a bit of an interesting battle. It was kind of hard to predict some of the moves, but I'll give them some credit. They had some cool movesets there. I like that coil rollout. Dun Sparse, it was pretty cool. Last battle here, we got a long battle. This one is against Hunt Down, and we have a theme team here as well. We have a theme team. Now, these Pokemon were actually taken from Surprise Trade, randomly from Surprise Trade. So I don't know how long this took to get all these, but it's some dedication there. So the first Pokemon is going to be Drowsy. So Drowsy takes my Shadow Ball, reasonably well. So I thought, that is probably Everlighted, I'd say. Hard to tell. And then it used Nasty Plot. So it had Trick Room and it used Nasty Plot. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Shout out to the homie that made the model for Drowsy and made his fingers, you know, like that's some dedication there. I like that. I like the attention to detail. So I set up a sub here and I thought maybe I could stall this, you know, this Trick Room out a little bit. Oh, sorry guys, I dropped my phone was in my pocket and it's like you wouldn't read about it. The moment Drowsy's fingers were wiggling, it fell out and fell onto my toe. It's like Drowsy he used its psychic movements and I made my phone fall out of my pocket right onto my big toe. It freaking hurt. All right, you know what? I'm gonna leave that into this video. Like, you know, about my videos, guys, it's not a scripted narration experience. It's a raw human being experience, all right? And I always like to have that in my videos. So, we've got a Reflect. This is an interesting set. So it's got Reflect too. I just went for Charge Beam and I took the Drowsy out. Now, I was still a bit curious what item that Drowsy had. So I'm like, I mean, it's fairly especially bulky, but I wasn't 100% sure till a little bit later on. Now, out comes Oddish. Now, believe it or not, this Oddish was a ginormous pain in the backside. It was very, very hard to get rid of. Like, you're not gonna hear many people say that about Oddish, but then you got to remember you're on PIMPNITE's channel, right? So we got that. We got Toxic from the Oddish. And Pachyrus, as you know, doesn't really deal a lot of damage. It just does fixed damage and then goes for Parafusions and boosts up with Charge Beam, right? Now, this Oddish has got Strength Sap. Now, this is a very, very big problem because my Pachyrus, it can't do a lot. It's virtually shut down by this thing. And I've also got leftovers too. So I'm trying to figure out, should I stay in here and, you know, see what the rest of its moves are and then swap it out. So I decided to go for Nuzzle. Like, bugger, I'm just going to paralyze this thing. It might buy me a couple of extra turns there if I need to, because it is going to be annoying to take out. So it's got Leech Seed as well. It's going to be super annoying to take out. You know, I would never run an Oddish set like this, you know, Leech Seed, Strength Sap, and Toxic. That's totally not, I totally wouldn't do that. Real talk though, I used to have this Gloom, this Everlight Gloom. It was really good. It was like, almost like that. It was really, really bulky and annoying as well. Maybe I should make that Gloom again. Maybe one day I'll do the Oddish. We'll get like another form for Oddish or something and I'll redo that. So I'm going to swap out Pachyrus here because it's virtually doing donkeys and we're going to go into Dunsparce. So the other move it's got is Giga Drain. It makes sense. It works well with the set. So going for Hyper Drill here, that does nothing because remember the Drowsy setup Reflect. Now, I'm sitting back here and I'm starting to count the turns and thinking, gee, it's high time that that Reflect, you know, it ended. You know, I'm looking, I'm going to the teams, and I'm thinking, hang on a sec, that's been like almost 4 or 5 turns. So I swapped in the Dodgero here, and it's going to use Strength Sap. At this stage, I didn't really worry because I was just doing some swaps and I was sort of getting rid of the Reflect. But it turned out that Drowsy did not have Everlight. It extended the turn of Reflect to 8 turns. So it was a light clay Drowsy. I was like, what the heck is this? Now, this team, if you haven't noticed already, I was trying to buy myself a little bit of time here by swapping into obvious Toxic and stuff like that. With this team, you'll notice that they're all physical attackers except for Gimmighoul roaming, right? I don't know why it worked out that way, but it just did. But it really, really put a lot of pressure on Gimmighoul roaming to perform. And it isn't exactly the most powerful Pokemon. So, you know, when it performed well, it was great. But some battles, it just wasn't good at all. It just got completely dominated like this battle like earlier on. So we had this bit here where, you know, Oddish would get paralyzed. And then I'd have leftovers, and then there's be a lead sheet, and then I was waiting for the Reflect to go. So I wanted to make sure the coast was clear before I send in Dodrio, and then went for Brave Bird, so I could just take this thing out in one shot, because it was being like super, super annoying. So I had the confusion up on it, but it managed to get lead sheet up again. Again for like the second or third time here. Good thing I did have I did a couple of swaps with Pachirisu, and I did have leftovers too, so that sort of gave me some extra turns for it as well, because this Oddish was quite bulky, you know, with Everlight and Strength. Strength Sap's a really, really good move for stalling as well. It's excellent. And not only does it drop the attack, it also heals you. Very, very good move. So now I'm thinking it's time to swap in the Dodrio, and it's time to get rid of this Oddish, right? Because it's been, like, literally, it's been like 10 minutes of me trying to faint like a baby Pokemon in a children's game of Pokemon, right? So I feel like you guys are going to start roasting me soon if I don't faint this. So I didn't want to go for Stellar Brave Bird because that was I'd rather quit Pokemon than go for Stellar against Oddish, because like that I'd be me like roasting me, right? Next Pokemon we got is going to be Nimble, so this is going to get hit hard by Brave Bird too. Don't get me wrong, but I smelled a rat. I was like, something's got to be something's not right here. Do I want to lose my Dodrio so early on? So I'm going to go knock off. Let's see what's going to happen here. And I had a Focus Sash. I'm like, all right, that makes sense. And guess what? It had counter. So, I must have cut it out there. So it was counter that took out my Dodrio. So it didn't matter what I used, I was going to get destroyed. The Nimble's got to swap out there. Very, very nimbly. See what I did there. And we've got five. So these are basically names. These are Pokemon with nicknames that were traded on the surprise trade that were not finished. Like, there was sort of like half their name and stuff there. I don't know how long this team actually took to get, but it's interesting. Like, it would have, you'd imagine it would have taken a fair while to get them all with names like that. I guess sometimes people just call them first few letters, or they go for a nickname and they accidentally press back or something and just, there's a throwaway Pokemon. I have no idea. Next Pokemon is going to be Q-Fan. You don't get to see Q-Fan very often, and I was actually pretty worried about Q-Fan. I mean, you're never going to probably hear that again, but I had nothing for this. I was like, man, I'm completely walled. I guess I could try and get some damage before I fainted. So I went for the Hyper Drill for some damage, and it was okay. I mean, it's a Q-Fan, right? Then my heart sank because I seen Curse. I'm like, oh no, what am I gonna do to this stupid thing? Because I'd already lost my Gimmighoul, right, which was a special attacker. So I'm thinking, damn, I don't want to lose this thing. So I was like, well, I'm gonna die to poison anyway. Let's just go for Hyper Drill again and keep getting damage, as much as I can. So we've almost got it to half health, and it's got to use Curse again. So I'm a little bit worried here at the point where I think that it might have Rest, So if it's got Rest, and it's got Sleep Talk, and then one other sort of like, I don't know, like attacking move or whatever, this is going to be very, very bad. So Dundas is going to go down there. I do have Dodrio, and I've also got Apom. So I thought, all right, I've got Counter, I've got Endeavor. Let's do this. So I'm going to go for Taunt here. I don't want them to get any more attack boost up with Curse. And it used Iron Head. So it attacked me and it put me on 1 health. So I'm like, okay, this is good. I mean, it's not ideal, but at least I can put it on 1 health there. I didn't want to risk going for Counter either. I just wanted to taunt it, for reasons, So Iron Head is going to take out the monkey. But now it's on 1 health, so I can virtually swap any Pokemon in now and take it out. So I had the Pachirisu, so I thought I'll swap that in, and I'll conserve my last Pokemon, which is the Furret, right? So I've got Charge Beam. I thought I'll go for Charge Beam, and I'll take it out. Usually Q-Fan looks more of a ground type to me. No. Instead of a steel type. I guess it's off those like steel elephant, like metal elephant statues or something. Next Pokemon is Nimble. We've seen this one before, but it's got First Impression. I narrowly lived that on 4 health, and that is going to be the end of the cricket there. Now, I was also poisoned too, so I'm also going to faint this turn, so it's going to be a double KO this turn. This battle has been really, really close. Once I got past that Oddish, things started to, go a little bit faster there, but it took me like half the battle to get around that stupid thing. So my last Pokemon here is going to be Furret, and I had to get to use Last Resort, you need to use all the moves at least once while it's swapped in. So I needed to get 1 boost here off Tidy Up. Now I had Terra Normal, I thought, all right, we'll do that, but it just depends what this set's going to be for Lilligant, right? So Lilligant had Terra Dragon. The Dragon Terror looks really cool on it because of its crown, and it's going to use Sunny Day. So straight away that tells me this has got Chlorophyll. So I've got the tidy up. I was like, who's going to go first now? Will it be Furret or will it be the Lilligant? So I've got Terra Normal. I thought, well, I'm just going to go for this because I'm only going to, if I'm going to live here, it's not going to be very well. Even if I do live, it's going to be kind of nasty. And that's a big ask anyway. So we've got that Terra Normal, and I'm going to get outsped. So we've got Terra Blast Dragon, which is interesting. Terra Blast Dragon, Lilligant, that does a lot of damage there. I mean, it's Furret, right? So I managed to get off the Last Resort here, and Last Resort does take out the Lilligant in one shot. And that is the end of the battle. Hope you enjoyed the Runaway ability team. I don't think I'll ever do this again unless it gets like a massive buff, which would be virtually anything. Peace out, everyone. I'll catch you tomorrow.